Let's kill it. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. I know it's a busy day today, a Friday. This is Influencer Academy podcast. My name is Giftin Duma. So the whole objective of this podcast is to sit down with entrepreneurs and creatives in the social media space and hopefully have a conversation that will bring value to the other person who's watching it. So thank you very much for your time, Nick, because it's gonna be totally valuable. Maybe if we can start to break the ice by you telling us who you are, what you do, and just everything about yourself.
Hectic. Okay. My name is Mbali. That's I say that's my government name, but my stripper name is Cherry because, and I say stripper name because it makes money on the internet. Well, at least that's how I started. But yeah, Mbali Cherry, originally from Bumalanga, Nelspruit, Hazyview, and small town. And yeah, look, I am an entrepreneur who started out as an influencer, and even before that, video vixen. At some point, I was in forex. Um, there are so many things that I've done, just like building up to my career and having earned the name and where I am right, because life is like, turbulent like that. You have to try out different things and then you find what you like and you stick to it. But I've always had, I guess, a knack for just marketing and advertising and the internet, because what happened was that, like, brief story is, went to school, obviously, and then because of how life is, you've got these dreams. Oh my God, I'm going to be a lawyer or I'm going to be whatever. And I was studying BCom law at Midrand when I left high school, and there was stuff happening with my family. My parents separated. My mom couldn't afford to keep me in school, so I had to drop out, and I needed to make it work. You know what I mean? And coming from a small town into the big city, the whole thing was like, I'm not going back there because there's nothing happening back home. Do you know what I mean? So I decided to stay in Gauteng and to hustle, and everything that I am now and everything that I've come to know is really just like hustling and working like all kinds of jobs, meeting people, networking on the streets. And yeah, now I'm the CEO of my one company, Training Topics Agency, with my business partner, Hakeem Malema. And then I have another baby company. This was actually my first company, Share Relations, which also still in the digital marketing sphere, slightly smaller than what I do at Training Topics Agency, which is the bigger baby. But that's who I am, man. Social individual who just loves life, and I'm still figuring it out, So that's like, yeah, a brief introduction of who I am, where I come from, a little bit of my story. Because I suppose I'll answer you as you ask me questions, but yeah, that's me,
Wow.
Give.
Wow, that's super fantastic. I'm super curious and want some information on your journey when coming to Johannesburg and everything happening and you not being able to go back to school and hustling. How did you identify the opportunity on the internet, being like you think you can make money on the internet before you even made it? How was it you just thinking about it? What convinced you to go for the internet in terms of making money?
Yo, what convinced me to go for the internet? So, I mean, I think as you would know, so I'm a 94 now. I'm putting my age out there. I'm a 94 born free baby. So, yeah, obviously, just growing up and further maturing into the industry, because while I was in varsity for that year, that 1 year, I only did 1 year in
The internet.
varsity. And Gift, are you still with me?
I'm still with you.
Hello?
It's just it started a bit.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, it was lagging. But yeah, so I
Okay.
spent a lot of my time on my phone.
Mm.
And I guess um, when I started working, I worked for a company, a Jewish-owned company that teaches people how to trade forex. And I remember being at that job and spending a lot of time on YouTube, watching American YouTubers And a majority of those girls that I was watching, because I was predominantly watching them, I mean, I was watching them mainly so I could learn how to do my makeup. Do you know what I mean? It's like that was the era of brows on fleek, etc., etc. But now, as I was learning how to face beat, I realized how a lot of these girls were leveraging their channels to work with brands. Do you know what I mean? And basically, it would be a thing of, oh, this is the product I'm using, and you can get it from Revlon, and you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, they have relationships with brands, and they're obviously leveraging these relationships based on their audience. So there's clearly a connection there because you're selling me a product. Now I am inclined to go buy this product because I saw it on your page. And surely there must be an exchange happening behind the scenes if you can like talk about this brand of water on your platform. So I did my research, and then I was also following, there's like a few individuals that I was already following on social media who I really looked up to and admired because I also felt like they were doing the exact same thing. I compared them, the local girls, to the American YouTubers that I was watching, and I was like, okay, these people are using their platforms, have so many brand partnerships, and are constantly feeding us and telling us which brands to buy, etc., etc. So I made the connection, and I said, there is an opportunity here, and I'm spending so much time on my phone and on the internet consuming all of this information. So if I'm going to be on my phone all the time, and I don't like this job. Let me be honest, I hated my job at the time, but I needed to get by, right? So I said, if I'm going to be spending all this time on my phone, then it has to translate into something. So what do we do? And then I started just essentially how I broke into influencing was I started talking about the products I was already using. Like, hey, Naitasa, Vaseline, been using this thing for a while. Look at my lips. And like by tagging brands, obviously right now the influencer marketing industry has become slightly saturated, but we'll get into that conversation. However, breaking into it at the time was a lot easier because, and I say this to, everyone who's an aspirational influencer, is just like, start with what you have. So if I'm going to talk about Dove because, of course, I have an experience of using this product and this is what it's doing for me. Some people, you'd be shocked at how many people aren't exposed to the type of products that you are or have a different experience to the same product. And once you put that information out there, it's stuff that we don't get at the store when we go and buy stuff. But here is a person who has now sort of bridged the gap between the actual brand and the consumer, because now everybody wants to know, why is it that Gift prefers these headphones on his show for his podcast? What is it about them? If they're that dope, I'm going to buy them and use them to start my own channel. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that's how I want to say, where I saw the opportunity on the internet and realized that I have the power right in my hands. We spend so much time on these devices, and I said, come on, man, like something's got to give, So that's pretty much how I got into that.
Wow, that's super fantastic. I just want to know, Uguti, do you think entrepreneurs need education in terms of in order to thrive in the influencer industry, or they must just do it?
Let me say this. Education is also like a very sort of broad, term, because in the same breath, as much as, because we've got education that you get from the institution, but there's also education all around us. It's the 21st century. All you have to do, this is also something that I said to people. I said, I got this far by using what I had. Google is your best friend till today. Google will always be your best friend because all the information. Let me tell you how I cracked the code. The company I was working for, the Forex company that I keep mentioning, I'm not going to mention their name. However, the whole thing, I was a marketing manager, and the whole thing was for us to get people to use the platform for them to trade on. And one of the things that they would say is, you pay this much and we teach you how to trade. And I realized that everything that they were teaching people was available on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like the thing that they were charging you for. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's doing that. it's how you package your information and pay for it. Because I mean, of course, some people have, the means to do so. But if I don't have the means to go pay for a course,
Sorry, it's stuttering a bit.
I'm going to exhaust all of it. Are you still there?
Yeah, I am still here, but it's just that the feed is stuttering a bit. Can you just,
I'm
sorry.
so sorry.
Yeah, can you repeat not everything, but a bit of what you said, because it's very variable. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna say when I realized that what they were charging people to pay for what they were teaching them was available for free on YouTube. That's when I knew, Uti, there's something up here. Oh no.
What happened?
Oh no, you keep freezing. Am I also frozen on your side?
It's okay now. It was freezing earlier on, but now I think it's okay. I just hope it's not
Okay,
because of,
sweet.
yeah.
But my whole thing was that that company was charging people to educate them on how to trade. And when I did my research, this is the thing, I had to apply myself and do research, and I found that all the information they were giving to people who were paying was available for free on YouTube anyway. And I mean, if you don't apply yourself and you sit down and you say, I'm looking for this information, you'll never know. And that's the thing, it's like there are so many resources available to us. So, I mean, honestly speaking, all we have to do is to just apply ourselves. So, to answer your question, do I think that entrepreneurs need education? Yes. Is it from an institution? Not always. It doesn't have to be traditionally from an institution, because there are so many resources, free resources that are available. There's so much information that is available to us. There are books, there are blogs. Do you know what I mean? There's people who are putting this information out for free, and maybe not as granular as you would like it to be. But once again, you apply yourself, you do enough research and digging. And once you hit a place where you feel like, okay, like they can't give me any more, then maybe now this is where you start investing in your own knowledge and future and education, to say, okay, because you know how it goes. It's like an app when you download it and you want to get all the when you want to get all of the resources, they say subscribe. So sometimes you have to take it there. Sometimes you have to take it there. So yes, everybody needs education. All entrepreneurs do need education, because I mean, how else? You need to have some sort of knowledge about the thing that you're trying to learn or the thing that you're trying to do. But it's not always going to be the traditional way of, acquiring that knowledge. And I strongly believe in, because I always say I'm a rebel at heart. Do you know what I mean? People will tell you, you have to get a degree, you have to do this. I'm going to say, but number one, I don't have the means to acquire that degree, but I have the internet and I have a phone that I spend a lot of my time on. So instead of scrolling on IG or, consuming crap, which we do, and I'm not calling anybody out for it, but apply yourself and use that time and that data to look for things that will enrich you, so that you can get stuff that, helps you grow as a person. Because that stuff is out there. I kid you not, that stuff is out there. And even more so now than it was when I started, which was in 2013. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Wow. Wow. I'm amazed. I love your transition from being an influencer to an entrepreneur, and using your influence in a way to create an agency. I'm just looking for a blueprint, like a short blueprint of how an influencer can do that transition from being an influencer to an entrepreneur. Can you please walk us through that, if you can, in a way?
Look, it's difficult. That's not an easy question, because the truth of the matter is that half the time I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna be honest with you. Half the time I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm writing the blueprint for myself. Wow. I don't know a lot of people who walk the same journey or the path, but I'm trying to figure it out. However, depending on how badly you want it, it's definitely available to you. And the nice thing that I always say about, I guess, where I'm at is that no one can tell me, oh no, when you do it like this, it's wrong, because no one's walked this path. Do you know what I mean? So it allows you the room to make mistakes, to learn, to fail, but to fail forward. So essentially, for if I do have to just, sort of source an answer to give you, it's just figuring out what is the end goal for you. For me, my end goal was to build an empire, still is, in fact. Do you know what I mean? And I knew that I didn't want to just be an influencer, because also, if we're being realistic, there's a lifespan to influencing. And I don't say this to discourage anybody, but I'm saying you get to a point where, like, yeah, of course, you've shown us products, you've introduced us to certain things, but like, what else? Like, what's the next trick? Show us something else. People constantly want something new. Do you know what I mean? So if you don't have the ability to reinvent, recreate, and to constantly innovate whatever offering it is that you have to bring, then at some point it becomes stale. So what are you doing to better your product? And this is why, if you look at the industry right now, the game of how content is being shot, delivered, and offered to the public is changing time and time again. When I was like fully influencing, it was as easy as just taking a picture of, you know what I mean? Now there's like production sets and whatnot. And yeah, because influencers possess the capability to create ads that could live on television. Do you know what I mean? And that's also, if you look at some of the most successful influencers that are out there, it's because they keep on innovating. They keep on, like jumping onto new trends and sort of tweaking this thing to remain relevant, to speak to what's happening in the now. You have to stay relevant. So for becoming an entrepreneur, I think something else I need to say, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, Gift. Like, and once again, not to bash anyone, I say this from the best of places. If all of us become business owners, who's going to do the work? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that umuntu one needs to be a worker, whatever the case might be, but there's some people who just don't have the will to, like, yeah, I need to figure it out. I need to hustle. I need to find solutions. Not everyone has that. There's people who want to be told what to do. And that's the way that life works. It's okay. Wherever you are on that grid or on the tier, it's perfectly fine, because that's how the system operates. There are people who need to be told what to do in order for us to get the results. There are people who need to figure out what to do to tell those people what to do. So not everyone needs to be an influencer, but if you get to a point where you feel unsatisfied with what you've been doing and you feel like you've got more to offer and there's a gap in the market, that's where you know that, okay, I'm being called to do more than just be a face and to just advertise. And the real answer there lies within yourself. I can't say how, or yes, you're an influencer. You would know, if you know in your heart, this is getting boring, man. I want to do something else. Or I feel like, yes, I'm promoting this water, but it's not the best. And I think I might have an idea on how to enhance this product or get another good product. Now you're transitioning from just, I used to promote this water. Now, hey guys, here's my new brand of water. Check it out. It's better than that other brand. And like, let's push. So that's really like where that, I want to say, that tension point lies, when you feel like you've reached a plateau in doing that, because that's how I felt at some point in my influencing career. Look, it's still ongoing, don't get me wrong, but there are certain things that I feel I no longer have the gumption to do. Like, okay, I've been there, done that, guys. You know what I mean? I want the next challenge now. Let's solve other problems. So, and that's what I hunger for, because I also know, because I was in that industry for so long and still remain there, now I know how to identify certain gaps, and I want to bridge the gap between influencers and companies / brands to say, these are the people that you need to talk to, and this is how you need to talk to them in order for you guys to get the best out of them, so that you can be happy. I mean, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, because if brand is getting their stuff out there, influencers are able to influence, then everybody's happy. So yeah, I'm talking.
Yo, and it's so variable and it's so dope. I feel like we should have like a seminar or something. You said something that is very interesting. You said influencers have a lifespan. And number two, that's something I picked up from you, which is some influencers really don't want to go to school, don't want to do law or anything. They want to be influencers. But I feel like being an influencer and being a content creator is easy now. And some people might opt into it because it's easy. You just wake up, you shoot a picture, you post, we like, and then you titled an influencer. But now for those people who want to become influencers as a career, do you advise that they need to look at influencing as an entrepreneurial journey, or they just need to become influencers? Like, I just need you to give us a roadmap in terms of somebody who wants to take influencing as a long-term career. This person doesn't want to go to work. He or she wants to be an influencer forever. Should they be looking at influencing as an entrepreneurial journey, or just influencing in a way?
I'm confused by your question because either way, influencing is still entrepreneurial. Do you know what I mean? So if you're, I guess maybe you're asking is it sustainable? And in the long term, you be able, and this takes me back to my previous point about how do you create a brand for yourself that is sustainable enough to carry you through. And like I said, it's about remaining relevant. And also, you need to be learning, constantly learning, seeing what the latest trends are. What is the type of content that is doing really well on social media right now? I'm going to give you an example. Look at how all our platforms have become TikTok platforms. Do you know what I mean? The TikTok model has been adopted by all the main platforms. YouTube has YouTube Shorts now. Instagram pushes the reels. Do you know what I mean? So if you're not producing content that is relevant with the times, then all your stuff kind of just fades into the back. Nobody sees most of it because of how the platforms have been operating. So to answer your question about sustainability, if you want to take influencing like that, number one, you have to invest in like, you know, your equipment. You need to invest in your craft. And you can't think just because you took a cute photo with your iPhone 13 that's it. You need to find ways to, you know, sort of make that stuff like, you know, go crazy. And like I said, there are influencers who will invest in all kinds of equipment. Cameras cost like 10 grand and above, like a really good camera. Do you know what I mean? But also you can have a really good camera, but you don't know how to use it. So what are you doing to learn how to use that thing? So it's very layered, this thing. And yes, it is sustainable because if you can negotiate very good deals with your brand partners, then I'd like to think that you can sustain yourself. But I don't think influencing should be your be it and end all, because it's such a up and down industry. Do you know what I mean? Also, look at it this way. There was a time, I think it was early this year, when the internet was down. Facebook was down, Instagram was down, everything but Twitter was down. So if you're an influencer and that's all you do, what happens when the social networks shut down for whatever reason? Maybe Mark Zuckerberg decides, Aibo, Angsafun, and he switches everything off. Now what's going to happen with your career? Do you know what I mean? So you definitely need to have a backup plan. Yeah, you definitely need to have a backup plan and have something else going on the side. And that's why I think the opportunity, especially for influencers, is also to just maybe create their own products. You know, I want to say I don't shy away from encouraging people to build their own things, to move away from pushing everybody else's brand. If you've established an audience and a market, then and you have great ideas, which I think all of us do because there's a creative inside all of us. But if you have those great ideas, create your own product, because whether or not your influencing career goes or stays. Now you've created a really dope product and you've got an audience to sell to, and you say, hey guys, check out my new, you know what I mean? So that's where I think the conversation of sustainability of an influencer career comes in. And I'm not discouraging anybody to do influencing, no, 100%. If you feel that that's like something that you want to do, you don't want to go to school, by all means, but make sure that you have something that sets you apart. Because it's banning. Everyone's an influencer now, like you said. But what is it that's going to make a brand pick you over gift? Yeah.
Wow. That's so valuable. That's, there's some entrepreneurs getting into the business world of influencing. Some businesses feel like influencers don't work in a way, like they don't bring value to the business. But I think there's something wrong that is done in the campaign. What do you think influencers are, the whole influencer campaigns? What do you think? How, like, Ishman, can I pose this question? I just want to ask, what do you think influencers are doing wrong in influencer campaigns, and what can they do right in order to make campaigns work in a way?
So this is interesting because this is the debate and the conversation I have in a lot of my meetings when we sit down with brands, because of the work that we do at Trending Topics Agency. We need to make sure that the influencers are briefed correctly, because it's not fair to put it all on the influencers. What's happening is that there's also sometimes brands who are saying to influencers, this is what you need to say, this is how you need to communicate. And Gift, you know your audience. If let's say, for instance, you speak vernac with your audience, and now all of a sudden you come and you're talking French, and like, we are I think understand, because brand said to you, that's how you need to spell this water. There's a disconnect. And you've already lost like 60% of your audience because you're not being true and authentic to you. And our biggest fight with brands is to say to them, allow the influencers to be as authentic as possible. They need to be able to push your messaging and let it come across as if it's coming from them, because then it's easier for Gift to listen if he feels like he's being spoken to directly, not by and that's where the disconnect comes in. It's the process in which brand has its messaging and briefing the individuals so that they still put out the key messaging that the brand wants to go out there, but in their own style. So what I'm trying to say is that there has to be a compromise from both sides, where brand must say, okay, because this is how Gift does it. And I'm going to let me try think of examples of really dope sort of partnerships where brands don't stifle the influencer or try to make them like sound inauthentic. Who can I think of? Also, I don't want to talk directly like about people and names, but I want to just give examples. What's a really dope brand that you can think of that works with other people, but the voice is the same? Like the person doesn't have to do anything that's like outside of their comfort zone. Let me think.
Yeah, I don't want to name drop.
Primo. Primo 19.
Oh,
have
yeah,
you seen
yeah.
the type of
TikTok
work?
nigga.
Primo, do you know what I mean? And I've worked with Primo on like multiple occasions, and the beauty and the reason that he's also so successful, and even with the partnerships that he has, is because he's remained authentic to himself, but he still gets the messaging out. Very brilliant campaign. When he was given a Samsung phone and he did the Para Primo series, he already had a character called Para Primo. Do you understand? So it just made sense for him to shoot a video where it's like a para, let me show you about this phone that I just got. Do you know what I mean? And you're thinking to yourself, shit, I like that phone, but it's so funny. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's an example of a relationship where the brand allowed him to creatively express himself the way that he normally would, they didn't script him. They didn't say, you need to do this, because if Primo had to come on and say, hey guys, what's happening? Da, 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 it would have been weird. Like It's like, Primo, you don't do that. Like, you don't talk to us like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the content you feed us. So that's a really great example. And I wish people would do more of that, where you just allow the influencer creative freedom, but we've still got your messaging. We're hearing you because you're telling us this is the phone, this is what you want to do, etc., etc. But that's one of the really, because there's a lot of examples out there, but that's one of the ones that came to my mind and stood out for me, because I think that's what it is. It's not to say a campaign goes wrong. There's something that happens in between, because I'd like to believe that everybody has something to offer. The brand understand that Gift speaks to his audience a certain way, and yeah, so yeah.
That's so super dope. I want to ask you something about demographic in a way, targeting of influencers in a way. Sometimes you get an influencer who's a female who has a lot of male audience. How do you, okay, let me ask number one, is it okay for that influencer to sell to a female demographic while they have a dominant male demographic? And if no, how do you get an influencer who's a female, probably always poses with bikinis and everything? Obviously, a lot of males are following them. How do you get them to not sell bikini in a way? Or is it okay for them to sell bikini if their followers are not generally people who buys bikini? Does it make sense
Your
though?
question is naughty.
But does it make
I
sense?
hear you. I'm laughing. I do. Let me tell you, the simple answer for that is brand fit. Who's brand fit? Do you know what I mean? And I'd like to think that this is something we do very well at our agency, where we help. So we speak to the brand and we say, what is the brief? We don't say to them, these are our influencers. We want you to tell us what your brief is so we can pick suitable people, because everything that you're saying is valid. We already know that. So if this is the brief, and let's say that the brief is, we are looking for what did you say? You said we're trying to sell bikinis.
Yeah.
We're launching a new line December. Hey, hot girl summer. I'm not going to pick the stunning, hot, fly girl with the million guy followers, because what we're trying to sell is going to fall on deaf ears. The guys aren't following her to buy bikinis. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to be able to identify who is fit for the brand and the brief. And I think the thing there is just to say, especially when you are an influencer agency, you mustn't shove your influencers down the throat of the brand. You need to understand what it is the brand is trying to communicate before you pair them with an influencer. And that's where you find your magic. Does that make sense?
Wow, it does.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of
It's
sense.
that simple.
It makes a lot of sense.
That's simple, because like no, continue.
I was just saying, for in terms of influencers, because not a lot of influencers have managers and agencies. So you get an influencer who has 150K followers, and you're like, it would be nice if you would sell. What would you like to sell, for instance? And they like, I would like to sell bikinis because I'm always on a bikini. And you're like, but you don't have female followers that much. So in that case, how do you advise them, besides the brand being involved? How do you advise them, saying that you selling to a female demographic won't work, but they feel like it will work because I'm always on a bikini and I want to be true to my brand? But you still with me? You thinking?
I lost. No, I lost you for a second. It was staggering.
Oh, it was staggering.
So I'm gonna ask you to repeat your question.
Oh, I'm saying, how do you convince, besides an involvement of a brand, if you were communicating with an influencer and they need help from you, and they like, we are starting an online store and we want to sell bikini, and you want to tell the person that the bikini won't sell because your demographic is not females, it is males. So how do you convince them that their online store won't work because what they are promoting to is not their market. They have a wrong market in a way.
Number one, I want to say in this life, not just in this industry, in this life, you must be open to constructive criticism. So if ever anyone who knows a little bit more than you within that space, you need to be willing to listen. And even as the person who's giving the advice, you need to know how to impart that, or rather to share that advice without bashing the individual. So and there's so many ways that you can go about it, but really it's just a manner of approach. Instead of saying you can't sell bikinis, you say, look, I hear you, but perhaps consider selling maybe something else that would communicate to your market, because also the proof is in the pudding. We've got analytics now. All of these apps are like really smart. So if you say to this person, go open up your analytics, let's see who your majority demographic is, and then you show them, and if it does happen to be majority men, then you say, then maybe come up with a product that caters to this market, because those are the people that are watching your stuff. And that's just all it is. If you do still insist on selling or like going that route, because avele things I'm a bikini, by all means do it. But if you struggle, don't be shocked, because the analytics told you that this is what you can expect as far as this project is concerned. So the analytics are there to help and to guide us. And depending on, you need to have an open mind, man. So if like you say, if it does say your largest consumer are girls between the age of 12 and 16, then look at developing a product. If you insist on developing a product that speaks to those people, because those are the people that are watching your stuff. That's why we've got all these things, these target audiences. You know what I mean? We've got all that information. It's there, and it's more than anything, it's here. Every time you log in and these guys ask for your details and look at it this way, right? Have you ever noticed that if you like a picture of a sneaker, for that day, the rest of your feed, you're just seeing a bunch of sneakers.
For real.
do you get what I'm trying to say?
If it cuts, can we please
it's
be started, man? The meeting.
Cool,
if it cuts.
cool,
okay,
cool. But I'm saying, it's stuff like that where it's like, go more for that. They are sending you more links on sneakers and showing you more sneakers because you searched Nike Jordan 1. Do you know what I mean? So that's what they're feeding you. And this is like, now I'm going to get into like the back end / cryptic stuff of like marketing and advertising. People always say, oh yeah, our phones are like listening to us, they're spying on us. They are picking up a habit in the things that you search and the things that you gravitate towards. If I'm going to spend for that day, the next couple of ads I'm going to see are all going to be hair brands. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you went and you searched.
Let's stop that. Nice. Let's where were we, Kunje? Esh, I'm so sorry, cut at you while you were speaking.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I think okay, we can proceed now, because I think Vele, you concluded your point there. I'm extremely curious about the networking in the influencer industry. Do you ever see influencers collaborating with each other? And if yes, how do you see it coming?
Oh no, they definitely do. And I think now it's become so much nicer and easier, because if you look at, there's so many, I want to say, entities that are doing it, and they're doing it well. I mean, if you look at, you remember the Real Housemates? There's an account called the Real Housemates. These were, those are a bunch of different influencers, a plethora of influencers, guys who do skits, guys who are on YouTube, some are on like are crazy on TikTok. But that's an example of influencer networking, because that also became not just a group, but I think they have a YouTube channel or show where they're in a house or something like that. So and and this is just beyond the like doing like featuring people on videos, or like, hey guys, today I'm going to be with Mang Mang. But that's, to answer your question straightforward, that's an example of networking in the influencer world, where it's like, we know that either one of us have something different to bring. So let's all come together, because now we're powerful when we work as a unit. There are TikTok guys who do skits. There are YouTube guys who do like videos. There are people who do like really dope stuff on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? There's people who are on TV. So when you have all these people in the same environment, then that's like a crazy viewership that you stand to gain. Be it you put the content on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, YouTube. But that's, I think, how people have gone about it, just creating these entities and leveraging off of one another's like pool. You know what I mean? So I think that's dope. I'd like to see more of that, because yeah, man, it's interesting. It's just really interesting. It lets you into different worlds. Yeah, because also the age group or the age gaps are like different, right? So there's an older market, there's the Born Freeze, there's the 2000s, you know what I mean? There's what are the other ones? The Gen Zs, all kinds of different people. So I think it's dope.
It's for real, for real. Do you think influencers need management?
Depends.
Depends
To
on.
some degree, yes.
Okay.
It depends on how seriously you take yourself, and that's why I say it. So to some degree, yes. But if you are doing influencing as just a, I'll take every third, fourth job or whatever, do you know what I mean? Then maybe not so much, because remember, the other thing is that I guess most of how the relationships work is that some management will take a percentage of what you're being offered. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what all the agreements might be. So if you feel like, and also there's like so many things, Gift. If your management is not getting you any work, what's the point of having a manager? Does that make sense? If you're going out to get the work yourself, then yeah, then I don't think it's necessary. But if you feel like you need assistance to that level, where you have someone, so maybe you're so overwhelmed because you're like, creatively you're planning, you're conceptualizing, so you need someone to have the conversation with the brands to say, okay, this is how much Gift wants for this, and da 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 da. They set up your shoots and your meetings because your work is so vigorous that you don't have the time for the admin. Then by all means. But if you don't do a lot, then you can definitely do it by yourself. Because when I started out, I didn't have a manager. I got a manager for about a year, if I remember correctly. And then after a while, we both outgrew the relationship. It was a very civil type of, like, okay, no, thank you. I think we've reached that point, because at some point I was getting work myself, and sometimes brands come directly to you as the person because they know you. So unless you say, no, guys, don't speak to me, speak to, my manager, then yeah, but not always. Not always. And I wouldn't press anyone to go directly for a manager, unless you've done the trial and error thing, where you try to do things yourself, and if you feel like you're not doing it right, or you're not getting the outcome that you want out of it, then consider management, because we all need help. Don't be too proud to ask for help, but don't go out first and say, yeah, before I start my career as an influencer, I want a manager. No, try it out yourself and see how it goes.
Wow, that's dope. That's super dope. And a lot of entrepreneurs are finding it difficult to reach out to influencers. What do you think is the best way entrepreneurs can communicate with influencers or reach out to influencers?
Entrepreneurs or brands? Which one are you asking about?
Brands. But sorry, the reason I'm saying entrepreneurs is because in my perception, in a way, brands are like big businesses in a way, the way I think. And then entrepreneurs is like that township guy. That township guy who has a t-shirt brand and wants a couple of influencers. How do they reach out to influencers?
So every individual, I'm reluctant to say influencer, but everyone who has something to offer, must create a means of communication. Don't make your life difficult by making it hard for people to get a hold of you. Do you know what I mean? So if you're selling your t-shirts, tell me where to get your t-shirts or how to get a hold of you if I want your t-shirts or I want them in bulk. Do you know what I mean? And also, this is something I used to stress about a few years ago, and I would say influencers also need to, you know, respond to emails, you know, because respond to emails, respond to your DMs, whatever means of communication that you have put out there. If it's WhatsApp, respond, because you're missing out on potential business. So if you as an individual don't take it upon yourself to answer the phone because you could be getting a phone call for potential work or an order for your product and your t-shirts and whatever it is you're selling, then you're saying, I don't want business. But also as a business owner who's got something to offer, put it on your bio if that's the case. Have a website, you know what I mean? Like have an e-com store. There are all these things, but don't just like, okay, I'm selling t-shirts and expect for people to find you. That it doesn't work like that. So you have to put yourself out there as much as you would like for people to see you and see what you do. So there has to be, it's a two-way street situation. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, in a way. But I just wanted to
Yeah.
get Uguti, maybe entrepreneurs or brands needs to reach out and to influencers, and influencers needs to make it easy for the brands to reach out to them in a way.
And that's why I'm saying put your email address, put your cell phone number, depending on how you want to get you want people to get a hold of you. Put that information on your bio so that I don't have to, like, if I see your bio, if you say you're an influencer and I see your bio and I click on it and there's no email, and I need to DM you. Sometimes like nyatswafa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be honest, because I have spun for you, but you haven't made it easy for me to reach you. So, like,
Wow.
yeah, that's my thing. That's my situation.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. As an agency, do you think what do you think about other outlets of marketing? Because I have this theory that in the future, influencer marketing is gonna kill most of the marketing methods that are out there, like television, like radio. What do you think? What do you think in terms of the statement?
Please repeat your question. Sorry.
My question is, I think influencer marketing is gonna kill the other forms of marketing out there. What do you think in terms of that statement?
In what way? Elaborate.
In a way that influencer marketing presents underpriced attention if you are very good with it, and some forms of marketing are gonna be irrelevant in the future, like television, like radio, because not a lot of people are consuming content from those platforms, and they're consuming content from social media. So what do you think in terms of influencer marketing versus other forms of marketing in the future?
Yeah, that's a typical case of traditional marketing phasing out because the world is turning digital. So definitely traditional marketing in its different forms is in trouble. Everybody is digital now. Do you know what I mean? That's where everything's happening. People are on their devices. Nobody's actively got a radio that they're switching on to hear the ShopRite ad. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, and I use traditional and digital marketing because influencer marketing falls under digital for the most part, right? So yes, traditional marketing is phasing out. Well, some forms of traditional marketing, and also what I said earlier, because you are referring to influencers, I want to say there are influencers that are creating the type of content that could be on TV. and ads, like TV ads. Do you know what I mean? So yes, 100%. People are doing that on their cell phones. People are doing that at home in their houses, you know. So of course, people, like, you can argue and even go as far as saying that some brands are not looking to pay 300K for a TV ad. Instead, they'd rather break that 300K. Lord knows how much TVCs cost anymore. Break that money off and give it to different influencers who can create the quality of that, and it can be put out on, like, it can be spread out even more. Because also, I guess there's been like a question or a debate of how do you know how many people have seen your ad on TV? How do you count that? Whereas we can check the insights on the post that Gift made on YouTube or Instagram and whatnot to see how many people clicked on the ad, how many people, do you know what I mean? So even the ways of measuring are becoming smarter and smarter, and that's because digital marketing is advanced in that way. So yeah, it's quite an interesting time.
Wow, that's so dope. What is the future for you and your agencies and businesses in a way? What are you doing in the future? Near future.
I don't like to I don't like to talk about my plans because hey,
Just that
out
drop,
here.
Joe, like just that tweet.
We're playing in the tech world. We're playing in the tech world. Yeah, technology is the future, you know. So those are my plans. That's what I want. That's what my partner and I want. And that's where it's headed. I can't go further than that, but we're just looking into the future, man. Yeah,
Wow,
we're
that's
just looking
super
into the
dope.
future. That's where we're at. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's where we're at. And but also, even in saying that, still the need to create more and more opportunities for people who are like me, who started out like me, who came from where I come from, and who just want, you know, more. I'm trying to get that piece of pie. In fact, I'm trying to get that pie and split it with everybody. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just for me. It's never just been for me or about me. It's about like, hey man, we're all gonna eat, you know? So that's for me, personal plan, the future, what it looks like, and one of the things that we're looking to explore. And I think it's also it's beyond just like essay. It's definitely like the diaspora and yeah, but God willing, God
Mm.
willing.
That's super
Maybe we'll
dope.
come back. Maybe we'll come back to this interview. Maybe we'll come back to this interview one day and say, she said it, she said it.
And that would be super dope because I want us to have like I wouldn't say meetings in a way, but conversations where we just talk about what is happening in the current space, like NFTs, like tech, marketing, and just talk about these
Yeah,
conversations in a way because I
yeah.
enjoy communicating with people like you. I'm learning so much. But before I let you go, maybe
Yeah.
is there something that I didn't ask you that you wanted to express?
No, actually, it was a nice chat, man, to also just sort of distill the influencer brand world, excuse me, and I want to say the climate of that space right now. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So I'm good, but I do want to say that like um maybe because this is something that's close to my heart. Like, school isn't the only way, and I'm not saying this to discourage people who are in school, or to say to someone, don't go to school. No, but it's to say that even for me, when I grew up, you are being told that a degree is the only way out. And what I'm trying to say is that we live in such a rich world, and even like right now, opportunities and information is everywhere. So if you do find yourself also, because, and I'm big on mental health, I struggle with mental health, like depression and anxiety. Those are some of my other vices. I mean, some of my other things that I just, and I know that for our generation, school is also one of the causes for, stuff like that, because maybe you're so unhappy in what you're doing, or like you're being forced to go study, to go get a medical degree, and you have no interest in stuff like that, and it's just driving you crazy. I'm just like, my thing is, do the research, figure out what it is that you like. And one of the questions I'll always say, especially to, like, I guess people that are younger than me, is what is it that you would be willing to do for free for the rest of your life? Like, figure out what that thing is and do that. You know what I mean? Like, sharpen your skills in that space, and figure out a way to then turn that thing into, like, because that's a passion, right? Then figure out how your passion can start to pay you. It doesn't always come instantly, even, like, especially when you're doing something that you love, because, like, I've also gone like weeks and months on end without an income, purely because the work that I do now is stuff like I want to say marketing. I could do marketing in my sleep. I could do marketing, just, for free, if life wasn't the way that it was. But, girls gotta eat, gotta pay my bills. So figure, figure out what that thing is, and cultivate your skill in that area, and come out on top. And yeah, like I said, sometimes it doesn't pay. You're not going to get, it's not an instant gratification type of thing. That's the thing about, like, following a passion, right? It's not going to give you your thing, like your rewards right there and then, but at least you'll be happy doing that thing. And eventually you get to a point where, because you do it so well and your heart is into it, because also you can tell when you do stuff you don't like, you're just like, because wow. But eventually, like, we can see, this brew doesn't like what he's doing, and like, we can feel your energy. So yeah, but like, and I guess in some instances I'll even say, get the degree if you also enjoy that, because there's people who have both the talents and the options. Get your degree, and then make your money, and then you can fund your passion, because sometimes passion projects need capital, they need money in order for you to sustain. So do your 9 to 5, do your thing, and then while you're doing that and you're making that money, you're building this thing on the side, you're pushing your passion on the side. So I'm just an advocate for, like, people doing what makes them happy, because when you do something that makes you happy, everyone can see, oh, you put your heart and soul into this. Do you know what I mean? If you want to do podcasts and have conversations that enrich other people for the rest of your life for free, before brands approach you, because your platform is so rich, and they come say to you, yo, we want you to put this we want you to wear our headphones. You know what I mean? We want you to put this, because now, yes, you're advertising on your podcast, but you're doing what you love. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if there's ever anything I'm going to say to anyone, and not just on this platform, but like in general, is that find the thing that you like, man, because it's not nice doing something that you don't like, that makes you unhappy. And Indaba, life is long. Yo, life is long. So you can't
Everybody
spend
says
your
life
day.
is short.
You can't.
Life is long.
No, life is really long. So you can't spend your days. Yeah, life is long. You can't spend your days doing something that you hate, because you make yourself miserable, and everybody around you is affected by that energy, because we know I who give him fair to, he hates being here at work. He would rather be at home, like, shooting content. He would rather be at home doing X, Y, and Z. But also find that, like I said, if you can, and you have the luxury to, and you have, the resources to, strike a balance. Do this, and then in your spare time, like, invest what you've done here into that. And sometimes maybe to the point where you can quit. I worked my 9 to 5 job and all my other jobs that I wasn't too crazy about, until I was able to say, I'm going to start my own thing. And also, even there, like I said, not everyone can be an entrepreneur, because I don't think we all possess the same resilience, where you can go for months without an income. You can go for months without work. You can go for months without a job, because that's just like what it's like being an entrepreneur. You're taking a risk and you're saying, I don't care, man. This is what I want to do. And but when it does come through and you get those rewards because you put in the work and the work was dope, then you're sitting there and you feel like really accomplished and you're like, okay, like I like this. This is dope. And someone is recognizing my hard work and the hours that I spent crying and whatever, like, now you're looking at what you've built and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't give up. So that's how I would like to end it, pretty much.
Wow, goosebumps. If I had a Zoom, what I would show you, Joe. Wow, wow, wow. Yo, I got so much value from this. Yo, we need to have a re-up, Joe, just to communicate
I
about,
hope so.
like, you said a lot of
Yeah.
things that are so true in terms of like not making money for a long time, starting a business, and you being at that point where you have to give up because it's not making money. And a lot of people get into entrepreneurship because of money, but if you get in it because of love, you might find that there's a lot of things you don't know. And in order to know all of those things, it's time, Joe. Like, it's 3 months in and you haven't made money and you realize you don't know a lot, and that lot to learn it needs to take a year. So Mbali, thank you very much. I am truly appreciative for this moment, and I hope we're gonna have more conversations like this. This was Influencer Academy podcast. We're just hoping to educate where we know and to meet up with people like you and to just have conversations that are valuable to other people. So thank you very much for your time, Mfethu.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Like, I think before we end, it's very interesting. I haven't done any of these, like even like an interview, like a whatever, in perhaps a year or two. So it was interesting. I guess I'm just curious, what was it for you that said, I need to speak to this girl? Because also I haven't been out there like that. Do you know what I mean? As far as like my personal capacity, I haven't been like, so what was it to you that stuck out where you said, this is someone I want to speak to?
I just loved your profile in a way, and I loved your content. And to be honest with you, I really thought you were an influencer, just basically influencer. And I think in your profile there's founder and then the name of your agency in a way. So I was like, I'm always communicating with influencers, and I'm always trying to convince them to start businesses, because I really think attention is a currency, and since they already have that currency, they can translate it into their business in order to make money in a way. So I'm always communicating that, but they don't see it. Most of them, they're like, business, Joe, so you born and end up in business. So when I came across your profile, I was like, hey, this person I need to get in communication with, because I had a lot of assumptions. Maybe she's this and this and that. She won't respond this one, but let me just reach out anyway. So like,
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
yeah.
And I want to give you a compliment and say that's what you've done with that is really dope to even, because, and this is the thing, right? Some people aren't seeing the greater opportunities that exist. You said something very powerful where you said attention, and I even want to say influence itself is currency. And you need to be able to see that currency and see how do I get the most out of it, So yeah, if people are willing to listen to you and buy the things that you tell them to buy, come on, dog, you possess a lot of power. So you can definitely translate that into like a business or like start a product. So I even want to say, and I know we're going back and forth, but just to end it here to say, maybe it isn't to convince people to start businesses, but it's to maybe start products of their own if they have an interest in something. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's say one of the influencers you speak to likes, geez, what am I going to say? Sports, maybe look into, depending on the type of sport, maybe look into creating a product that speaks to that sport. If you like soccer, maybe, build a product around there, because people are willing to consume and buy that stuff, so have something that is your own. And maybe this is where we as a generation are not thinking far enough, where it's like we need to build generational wealth. And I hate to bring gloom and doom towards the end of our interview, but like the economy isn't looking great. And if you don't have anything that will help your money grow and work for you and not the other way around, then a lot of us are going to be in trouble. So let's start thinking about ways in which we can have more money, because you must remember also umzimba uyakhathala ne. So we're not going to be working until we're 80. I know I don't want to work until I'm 80. And that's why one of my dreams and the things that I pray for is to build a tech company that can run itself. So I don't have to work until I'm 80. Steve Jobs is bone dead in the grave, but are still eating off of that stuff, like, and are going to eat off of it, because we're definitely trying to buy the new iPhone 15, 21 when it comes out. And like, I'm talking, like generational wealth type of thinking. So people like our youth really need to go there. That's where it's at, guys. Things are looking bad. And it's Tandizinto. We like sneakers, we like fly cars, you know what I mean? We like drip. How are you gonna afford that stuff if you don't have the money? So yeah, man, I'm gonna end it there.
I think we're gonna have dope conversations off cam in a way, because we have something in common. But so kuluma ngayo vele after here, because now we're bombarding information here. Let's just close it off with a thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we're gonna have more conversations like this, man. Back random fits. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This was Influencer Academy podcast with Mbali. Wow, it was a very dope conversation I had. I've learned so much from the conversation. Hopefully, we're gonna have more conversations like this. From me, Gifton Duma. I'm out.